Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Chandler Precht. I am the Associate Director of the Sustainability Management and Science programs here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on your acceptance to our programs. If you joined us for the first welcome webinar on June 16th, welcome back. You'll notice that we do have a bunch of new students and alumni joining us on today's panel. Feel free to use the chat feature to introduce yourselves and the Q&A box for any questions that you have for our panelists tonight. I am going to start by asking the panelists to introduce themselves. So let's start with Hezekiah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hezekiah Williams. My undergrad was Jackson State University. I'm a third semester sustainability management student. I will be proceeding to get my PhD from Notre Dame this August, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Let's jump to Christina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Lampert. I am in my last class of SUMA, which is crazy. So nice to meet all of you. We'll dive in, but I'm with a company called How Good. So really excited to share a lot of the wonderful experiences that I've had and this panel has had tonight.
Thanks. Santi?
Hello all, really nice to meet you. My name is Santiago Oliva and I am a chemical engineering engineer. I'm from Chile and I'm part of the sustainability science program.
Wonderful. Jeff?
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here today. My name is Jeff Prosserman. I recently graduated from the SUMA program, and I'm in the climate technology sector.
Great. And Fia?
Hi, everyone. My name is Fia. I'm originally from Bangladesh, and I did my undergrad at the University of Washington in chemistry. I am also a recent graduate from the Sustainability Science program, just graduated this May, and I'm currently working at a scientific consulting company called Gradient in Boston.
Wonderful. Okay, so now let's jump into some questions for our panelists. So, Santi, what drew you to the Sustainability Science program?
Why I'm part of the sustainability science program, it's mainly because I used to work looking for sustainability solutions in the mining industry in Chile. And then I realized that I needed to know more about sustainability and more from a scientific perspective, not only about the management of the business or how to see the big picture. So that's how I discovered this program, and I discovered that this program has a lot of options. The program helps you to approach every problem from different perspectives, and that motivated me to come here.
Awesome. And I did just notice that Aldo has joined us. So I would like Aldo to introduce himself and then also tell us what drew him to the Sustainability Science program.
Hi, everyone. I'm at a cafe outdoors, so there might be some background noise. Apologize in advance, but really excited to be here. My name is Aldo Molina Vera. I'm in the Sustainability Science program. I'm going on my second to last semester. I started the program in fall 2020. My background is in undergrad was in chemistry and environmental sustainability. What drove me to the sustainability science was just I'm passionate about science because it's all encompassing. It's multifaceted, especially when combined with it being at the core of many other pillars. But yes, we can dive more into it in a little bit later.
Awesome. Christina, what drew you to the SUMA program?
Yes. Well, I left undergrad just getting like a little bit of a taste in terms of how to use business as a force for good. And I was working in fashion and I left that and I was like, I want to do sustainability, but I honestly, if I got the role, like I would have no idea where to even start in terms of the technical skills needed. So that was one thing. And then I also found myself just applying to sustainability roles, but I didn't have the hard skills that were required in the job description. So I think when I saw what this program in terms of sustainability management covered and knowing that I would come out of it with those hard skills to get the job I wanted, that's really what drew me to the program in itself. So, and it certainly did exactly that, I can honestly say, with where I am now.
Love it. Jeff, what about you?
Hey there. Well, prior to starting the SUMA program, I was the Director of Innovation at Samsung in New York City, and in that role led a cross-functional team to develop portfolio of digital products. And given the climate crisis, wanted to do something to make more of a positive impact. And at the start of the pandemic, was searching for a way to do that, while also putting practical business skills to free up in my career. So I was excited to dive in to the SUMA program and use it as a foundation to understand the climate science and pain points to make a measurable impact.
Great. So let's move on slightly. I do want to ask who here went through the program full or part-time? If you all could just go around, starting with Fia, and tell us what your course schedule was like.
Yeah, so I did the program full-time. So that means I took 4 classes every semester and I graduated in a year and a half. So it was always a 4 courses, and I also worked part-time in 2 of the semesters. Yeah.
Santi?
Yes, I'm a full-time student, and normally the time schedule is that we have classes from Monday to Thursday, and the classes are between 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it gives you time to have like a part-time job or doing another stuff that you want to do.
Hezekiah?
Hi guys, so I was full-time actually. Being a part of the HBC fellowship pretty much required me to complete the program in 1 year. So I took 5 classes in the fall, 4 in the spring, and 3 in the summer, and I will be finishing in a couple of weeks. But I was full-time.
Aldo?
I was a combination of both. As I mentioned earlier, I started the program fall 2020. I moved over for the first in-person semester this past fall, which was full-time. I quit my job there. I hadn't mentioned before, but I spent 5 years in research and development, 1 year within the oil industry, 4 years within pharmaceuticals. And then one thing I will mention is, as Santi had briefly touched on, is that the classes are in the evening. So it does really give you a lot of space to fit in part-time internships, part-time jobs. I've worked a combination of a lot of different things. So happy to share how to manage time management.
Jeff?
Yeah, I did a mix of both. I started the program full time and then went part time to finish, and really loved the flexibility of being able to build each semester around where you were in your career path and where you wanted to go.
Christina?
Yes, so I left my full-time job and I did the program. I did 5 courses and I did a part-time consulting role the first semester, and I actually was okay. And then the next semester I took life cycle assessment, which is challenging. So I did 4 courses, and then I actually got recruited for my role kind of in the middle of second semester full-time. So I was able to start working and then finish the program part-time. So it just lined up. That was kind of my plan all along for my personal finances. So yeah, it's super flexible, as everyone's saying.
Great. And let's go back to Santi. What were your favorite aspects of the program?
I think, especially about sustainability science, where I'm from, is the flexibility of the program that we have been talking about, that there is like a pool of classes you can take and you can choose your path. Because sustainability is a really wide topic. It's about energy, it's about GHG, it's about policy, and it's about coding. And normally, not everyone wants to do everything. So you can choose through the program which path do you want to take, or if you haven't made that decision yet, you can take all the topics and try to decide which path is your best path. So that flexibility that lets you choose your path or to learn from everything, I find it really useful.
Christina, what were your favorite aspects?
Meeting Chandler, no, so many other things, meeting so many people on this panel. I mean, actually, I'm not really lying. Like, meeting the people was truly my favorite part. It was really special to me because for the first time in my life, I was surrounded by people who cared about the same thing. And I just had never experienced that in my life before. So really special, even though it was online. I mean, you still meet so many people. There's so many group projects in all the best ways, so different from undergrad. Everyone does a lot of work. So no, that was great. And then I think just, yeah, having this realization that you get to dedicate so much time to work on something you're passionate about. I mean, it's who gets to do that? Not everyone. So yeah, a culmination of all of those things.
Love that answer. I love the first part specifically. Fia, what about you? What was your favorite part of the program?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with, of course, both of those statements. And for sustainability science, what Santi was saying, there's such a variety of classes you can take that teach you different technical skills. So you really can carve your own path. So I was a chemist before, and I was more interested in the scientific aspects of consulting. And I actually got recruited as an environmental chemist. And those are the kinds of classes I took. But really, if you're interested in disaster management, you can do that. Climate modeling, geochemistry, even GHG, life cycle assessment. You can dive into SUMA, like sustainable management courses as well. It's a very diverse set of classes. That's one thing. And the other thing I'll add is I think the network, and like Christina was saying, the people, your professors, your peers, everyone is within your network, and they're great resources for you during the program and after.
Fia, you brought up a great topic, which is classes and the types of classes that both programs offer. So Aldo, what were your favorite classes, or what are your favorite classes? What class are you looking forward to since you're not yet done with the program?
Yeah, I will have to reiterate what everyone has said so far. It's really the combination. And I think one thing I'm going to highlight is that for me, coming from, I've always been passionate about science, but again, science can sometimes be broad, it can be ambiguous. It can be really hard for you to pinpoint, one, what you're good at, and two, what you're really passionate about, and how you can drive impact at the scale that you would be interested in. So for me, it was transitioning into the program was really a transition into sustainability, and what meant a lot to me was gaining exposure through a comprehensive set of different classes, whether it be within the science program or the management. And what was really great too, when it comes to science and sustainability, a lot of it is interdisciplinary. So what Santi was saying is that you're able to pick and choose certain classes to cater a sort of symbiotic relationship and an understanding of sustainability that's really going to propel you into your career. And another thing about part-time for me was that it allowed me to really be deliberate about which courses I wanted to take, what I wanted to learn, and at the pace that I wanted to learn, which eventually led me to transition into consulting.
Awesome. Jeff, what were some of your favorite classes in the program?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I love how you can kind of choose your own adventure based off of the experience you're bringing to the table as you enter. Some people are more on a science background or more of a business background, and really gives you an opportunity to strengthen in areas that you maybe were a little weaker in and round out as a professional. For me, I mean, having more of a business background and learning the science, really enjoyed the GHG accounting class, solar project development, the entrepreneurship class, as I'm running a climate tech company now, the GIS. I mean, really, there's just a tremendous amount of really high class top minds in the sustainability field that you get taught by, who really become friends and mentors along the way. So just being part of this network is pretty amazing.
Absolutely. Christina, what were your favorite classes?
Well, I think there's two core classes that are coming to mind that I literally use every single day in my job in sustainability, and that's GHG inventory and accounting, which Jeff mentioned, and also life cycle assessment, where you're actually learning how to calculate a carbon footprint from start to end. So I think those were really important in terms of core skills that no matter what direction you go in this field are just so foundational. I think outside of that, I came from, ironically, I was never good at science in my past life. And as part of the curriculum for SUMA, you are to take science courses. And so studying climate specifically and really getting a chance to understand how all of that works, to Jeff's point, really helped round out my ability to speak on a lot of these topics and to really understand the nuts and bolts of what's happening, how to look at science, how to criticize science as well. And so I think those are something I never expected to get out of the program, but I think are just as crucial as a lot of those foundational courses in terms of the technical skills.
Definitely. Fia, what were your favorite classes?
I think there were many, but the few that I can think of, I really like data science. So I think climate modeling was actually my favorite class. It's a bit coding heavy, but if you're really interested to know exactly how those pretty maps and things that you see come about, I think it's an excellent class to take. It also helps me in my current job as well. Another class was natural disaster management that really teaches you the technical skills, the GIS skills and everything that you would need to work in an organization that does things like that. So I think those two are my favorite classes. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So I'll start with Hezekiah on this one. What have been your favorite aspects of the Columbia experience?
Okay, and let me start by saying the people. Okay, and Columbia prides itself on being a progressive institution and an inclusive environment, especially the sustainability science and management programs. I see a diverse cultural aspect as well as ethnically speaking, but also a diverse professional experience. So my classmates work in the field that the professors are teaching in, and the professors are well versed in the field. So, for example, in sustainability operations, which is a SUMA class, Vance Marola, a professor, the professor of the class, actually is the global sustainability manager for Colgate-Palmolive. So the network is very, very vast. You're a Columbia student, but you're also a sustainability management student with resources like the Career Design Lab and individuals like Chandler and John, I see Jonas in this call, and professors. And you have your classmates to even rely on, right, for experiences. And even if you have shared interests, they may be able to connect you with internships or job openings. So I would like to say the people, definitely the people.
Let me jump to Jeff on this one. What were your favorite aspects of the Columbia experience?
It's 100% the people, just to echo that. I mean, ultimately, the network that you are now a part of by joining this program, you're essentially one degree removed from somebody leading something in sustainability at pretty much every major company in the world, from the top companies making billions a day down to startups all the way in between to the finance side. So it's just really tremendous. And because we have a shared mission to try and decarbonize, I mean, really everybody's truly supportive and it comes with great values in trying to make that impact. So the alumni network, the people in the program, the professors, really everybody's just tremendous.
And Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the company that you founded, didn't it kind of grow out of something that you were doing at Columbia?
Yeah, so I guess I could give my quick backstory. I was working at Samsung prior to the program. In the Earth Institute practicum course, I wrote a research paper around electric vehicle charging and the lack thereof, especially in cities like New York today. And then if there could be an opportunity to create a scalable charging network to increase access and provide a convenient way for people that's across all communities to charge and really get from gas to electric. So from that research paper, actually even the co-founder of the company who I met in the environmental entrepreneurs student group in SUMA. So you never know if the person next to you could be a potential business partner or somebody to hire you one day down the road. But essentially we took it from an idea, built a team around it, and fast forward about a year and a half now, we have venture-backed company with about a 15-person team in New York, San Francisco, and a few people distributed, and we are retrofitting existing lampposts into EV chargers and have a pilot project with the New York City Department of Transportation that we're going to basically have the first few up this fall. So it's the story of how you can go from doing something completely different to something sustainable within the program.
So cool. And you did bring up a student group. And I know most of the people in this panel have been part of student groups. So Hezekiah, let me jump to you. Can you talk a little bit about your student life experience?
Of course. So not only at Columbia, but specifically in sustainability management and science programs, there are a plethora of clubs and organizations you can join, guys. So in sustainability management, you have SUMA, so you have SUMA, you have C, you have Women in Sustainability, you have fashion, impact and fashion, I believe. And I was also quite involved in student government, right? And I served on the SPS.columbia.edu committee for the entirety of the School of Professional Studies, but also specifically on the health committee and the diversity committee in student government. So there are a plethora of options. I've enjoyed my time and I've made lifelong friendships out of those connections and out of working in those clubs. The main reason why I became involved was impact. I wanted to make a greater impact on the Columbia community. And if that's your goal, becoming involved is definitely the option.
And then from our rescue group, Aldo, Santi, and Fia, I think you've all sort of been involved with rescue. Can one of you jump in and talk about that student group?
I guess I could start off. So yeah, we were a part of the sustainability science organization, like a school club, where a lot of what we did were cleanups and then tours and things like that. But we focused on building kind of a community with like-minded people who were interested in the same things, who were excited and passionate about sustainability. And we also did some panels. We did like a networking panel where we, in partnership with one of the professors, where we invited different people from different industries to give speeches, and that also helped a lot of people network with them. I think one person even got a job through one of the speakers. So yeah, we tried to create a community that was inclusive and really fun too. So yeah, this maybe Aldo and Santi wants to add something to that.
Aldo?
Sure, I can just quickly add that, like Fia was saying, it really depends on what we're all interested in. So we'll try to cultivate that sort of community. And one really great event was through the WSJ. It was a professional development webinar, and through the club, we're able to subsidize it, if not fully cover the admission for that. And one thing you'll soon learn is that in New York, there's a lot of professional development experiences and opportunities, both within internally as well as externally within the city. So I would say just to find your group, find your little niche, and voice those passions and interests.
Absolutely. And then Christina, I think you did a consulting project with Sumani, right?
Yes, I did too.
Oh.
So both in fashion, and one was really interesting. We were tasked with our group of doing a life cycle assessment on vegan leather and compare that to an LCA done on conventional leather. And so I was the marketing leader. So I created a marketing report in terms of, here are the results that we calculated, and here's actually how you can take this to market from an impact storytelling perspective, and focused on eco-influencers and helping the CEO of a vegan handbag company understand how to leverage them out in the world, created the messaging. And so it was so much fun. And then the other project was with Zero Waste Daniel. He is a zero waste fashion designer based out of Brooklyn, so very local, but also has gotten so much press for all of the work he's done. And we actually audited their e-commerce shopping experience. So you just get a lot of great exposure, a lot of great networking, and ultimately, I mean, if you ever want to start your business, or of course leverage material as you apply to jobs in this role, perhaps if you're shifting from an industry outside of sustainability, there's so many opportunities to start developing those portfolio products that you can leverage.
Christina, I know I threw out Sumani. Could you tell the students who are listening tonight what that is?
Yes, so that I probably should have started with that. So Sumani is net impact, which is what the NI stands for at the end of that acronym. And net impact is, I believe, a nationwide organization for graduate students specifically focused on pro bono consulting. So it's great experience on both sides. From the client, they're getting expert help from grad students, of course, within this program. And then from our perspective, yeah, just developing our skills there and knowing that we're doing it in a way that's benefiting, you know, our planet and its people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So let me kind of jump to more career related questions. So Fia, I know that you just moved to Boston. Can you tell the group, you know, what you're doing now?
Sure. So I just moved to Boston. I graduated in May, and I started working in a scientific, like risk sciences consulting firm. And my current job is I'm an environmental chemist. And a lot of what the job entails is actually a lot of skills I learned in the sustainability science program. A lot of it is contaminant analysis, modeling. Our sustainability science capstone project was based on, well, we did a hazard risk assessment, and a lot of what I do right now is risk assessments. So anyone with like a somewhat any sort of scientific background who is doing this sustainability science program would be an excellent fit here. I'm also an international student, so I was also looking for some place that would sponsor me, and so things like that. But most of my job, I do get to apply almost 80% of the skills that I learned from the program, and so that's great. And I'm really liking it here. Yeah.
Awesome. And Aldo, I know you just started a new job.
Yes, it's essentially doing the same that I was doing. So previous to PwC, I'm a senior associate there now. Previous to this position, I was working at a sustainability consultancy startup in the city. I was there for about 9 months. Their bread and butter was GHG accounting, which is what something that Christina actually alluded to earlier. And I also realized I didn't mention my favorite classes, so sorry about that, but very quickly, that was one of my favorite classes, as well as sustainable operations, which is another class that Hezekiah mentioned. What's great about that class is that it's very comprehensive, so it really takes you from point A to B to C to D to basically, it's like it covers a lot of like the sustainability alphabet soup. So that's great. I would definitely look into that class to begin your career at within sustainability at Columbia. But for now, the bread and butter at PwC is GHG inventory. It's assurance as well as stress solutions. There's a lot of consulting that goes into it. It can span. It's a variety of accounting as well as reporting, and reporting itself is its own massive pillar. But a lot of identification of gap assessments between where companies are now and where they should be, and just employing a lot of different tools.
Thanks. Christina, what are you up to?
Yeah, so I am the director of growth and innovation for a company called HowGood. And essentially what HowGood does is we look at every single piece of research that's being put out on every single food ingredient in the world. And so what that means is we're looking at every single life cycle assessment that gets done on crops across the country. We're mapping transportation impact and things along those lines. So when a major food company like Kraft Heinz or Nestle or Danone is basically like, I want to select these ingredients for this product, they go into HowGood's platform, type those ingredients in, and it helps them understand what are the biodiversity impacts of this selection, what's the carbon footprint, what's land usage, what are the working conditions associated with ingredients across the globe. So I work with a lot of the big food companies to operationalize this information and put it in front of the right teams. And then I also work with major retailers, and we rate all of the products that they sell based off of their ingredients and produce little tags for shoppers to be able to purchase in alignment with their environmental and social values. So I research a lot of carbon footprinting and how that changes sales velocity and things along those lines. And I also just wrapped up a launch. We're powering HelloFresh's low carbon tags, for example. So it's a lot of fun work. Everyone's trying to figure this out. There's both the data side, and that's can be a challenge. And then there's also the implementation in a way that resonates with consumers. So that's kind of my world at HowGood.
So cool. And Hezekiah, you're kind of taking a non-traditional route here. Can you tell everybody what you're going to be doing?
Yes, so let me start off with a brief background about me. So my field is biomedical engineering. That's what I completed my undergrad in, and my my field is also biotechnology. Okay, I briefly pivoted to sustainability management here at Columbia for my career goals, which are to eventually own my own business, make defense armor. And after I finish my degree here, I'll actually be completing a PhD at Notre Dame in bioengineering. So the reason why I'm doing this is because I do not only want to work in the field, but I want to gain a practical experience based on the skills that I've learned in the sustainability management program, like cost benefit analysis, like sustainable operations, like sustainability management in general, and apply them to the biotech field. So.
Thanks. So I also want to ask about different school skills and tools that you all have, acquired through the program that, have helped you already professionally or will help you. So I'm going to start with Jeff.
Sure. So, I mean, there's a lot you get out of this program. Everyone has their own path. I would say that I roll up my sleeves and learn how to do the financial modeling myself rather than relying on other people, which is certainly gives you a superpower in your career, no matter what direction you go. I think things like GIS and GHG and LCA are all really meaningful skills to have, no matter which way you go. I mean, for us, as an example, we're trying to deduce where chargers should go and rationalized city constituents. So by being able to use geospatial analysis, ultimately looking at different data sets and presenting them back to stakeholders, they're able to make more informed decisions for EV charging deployment. But yeah, I mean, it's really an opportunity to fill in skills where you may be weaker and just come out a lot stronger professional.
Absolutely. Santi, what about you?
What I value the most about my learnings here and about my career is that I see myself working in the field and all the part of risk assessment. Like there are classes that teach you how the machines work, how the processes are, how the documents are written. You have to read all the EPA documents. You have to see how the risk assessment and all these really 100 pages document that are actually not that long when you know how to read them. And to know how to do the problem, how to solve problems in the field, like real life problems. I did capstone with FIA, and it was about a nuclear plant next to a community, and to see and propose a solution right next to the community in the location, thanks to the risk assessment knowledge that the program gives you, so we can talk with professionals in the same language. That was really useful for the future.
Awesome. Fia, what about you?
Yeah, 100%. We've learned a lot of skills. I think just like everyone was saying, analyzing geospatial data sets, coding, modeling. But I think the most valuable thing that I've learned personally, and Santi touched upon this, was how to read documents and how to find data. So I think I've really figured out or like learned where to find data, what organization's website to go to, what kind of database to go to, how to find data in that database. This program really teaches you how to find data, work with data, and use it to solve actual problems in the field. I think that was like the most valuable skill to me.
That's great. All right. So our last question before we go to our live Q&A is, what is one piece of advice that you'll share with admitted students that are planning to enroll in the sustainability management and sustainability science programs? So I'm going to start with Hezekiah.
All right, guys, I have a long story, but I'm going to make it short. Okay. The quick answer is start early. Start early for everything. Similar to undergrad, similar to anything in life, as an application or an interview, practice early, right? So when you're preparing for classes, try your best to write them all out, write out your plan, make it simple so that as you begin to register for classes, you have an idea about what you want to take and who you would like to reference. So start early on assignments, start early with the application process, start early with reaching out to even your faculty members if you would like a job. So start early.
Jeff?
I would say to join a student group. you go to classes and obviously listen to the professors who have great knowledge in the field, but it's the other students that you're going to build relationships with and never really know where the impact will be down the road. It's a great way to meet people. They're all interest driven. In my sake, I led the environmental entrepreneurs group with Luke and ultimately found a co-founder in that, and still supporting, and some of my closest friends through the program work through the student groups you join, whether it be Net Impact, Build a Green, Women Sustainability, and the list goes on. So although it seems like maybe not the thing to do right up front, just dive in. You'll find your path and find your people through the program.
Thanks. Thea?
Yeah, I think for me, if I knew this earlier, it would have been helpful to kind of have a better idea on the kinds of technical skills or skills I'm trying to learn or improve. There's a lot of different classes that teach a lot of different things. Some classes are a bit more technical. They teach you how to use different software tools. Other classes are a bit more conceptual, a bit more reading heavy. So I think my advice would be to kind of do some research on the classes, talk to people who have taken it or the professors to see exactly what you're going to get out of it. And if that's something that you're looking for or something that maybe would help you in the future.
Aldo?
I would say to always say, just as in life, always stay curious, always stay humble. There's a lot of, and what that means really is that there's a lot to learn, especially within the sustainability space. It's growing rapidly and every day at a faster rate, but there's still so much more to learn. There's so many more dots to connect to and to eventually create a larger impact. And then as far as staying curious, same goes there. But then it also applies to engaging Columbia, both its people, its resources. There's a lot to go around. And I think the moral of the story is just that with people, you're going to meet a lot of incredibly inspiring people. So find your community and just, if one thing doesn't work out, that's fine. Move on to the next, and then you'll eventually find your place and where you can build a home for yourself.
Thanks. Santi?
Okay, it's hard to be one of the last ones in this question. But one of the recommendations is 1 year and a half is a really short time, or like the program, it passed really fast. So especially for the full time. So try to see the whole program since the beginning. Like try to check which are your key classes you want to take. Try to know that, because the most common situation is you are in the last semester, you have only 4 classes and you want to take 6 classes. And that's really common. So talk with the elder people that's not necessarily elder by age, but who have been here longer, and ask for advice. What are the most important classes? Like somebody told me that GIS and GHG was fundamental for sustainability. So take those classes. But that's really important, work with time. And complementing with Aldo of staying humble is that sustainability is how it's not about the science, it's not about the management, it's how we understand ourselves with the world and with our community, how we want to build a whole process to the future. So here in Columbia, you will find amazing people who have different thoughts, different philosophies about how to build a better future, and give a chance to that. Even if you don't agree, everyone in this program is a good person. So that is a really good opportunity here.
Thanks. And last but not least, Christina.
I have so many things to say. I will start by saying the one thing that I would recommend is there are going to be a couple of classes where it's different from undergrad in terms of you're not going to be able to figure everything out. You're not going to know everything. You're not going to have the resources in front of you to even do it, honestly, in some cases. And my advice would be embrace that. It's so uncomfortable and we're so used to being able to figure everything out. But I think that is by design of the instructor. And what you'll find is that is how it is in the real world being in sustainability, because a lot of these things have never been done before, have never been solved before in a corporate environment, anything along those lines. So embrace that, it's normal, and just enjoy that as much as possible. And the other piece of advice is just be proud of yourself, no matter where you are. If you're getting done work and you're about to go into night class and you're just like exhausted, just remind yourself that you are seriously the cream of the crop in terms of people who are taking the time to study this and do this and make an effort with this collection of wonderful people. So just always be proud of yourself. And yeah, it's a huge investment in so many things, yourself, the planet. So yeah, just something to be so proud of.
Great advice across the board. So I'd now like to open up the floor for our live Q&A. Alfred, do we have any questions lined up?
Yes, we do. So congratulations, everybody. And thank you for those of you who have submitted some questions. They're really meaty, so get ready, buckle up. One of the questions relates to kind of job perspectives, and everybody on the panel really emphasized kind of the power of the network, and that it sounds like everybody here is a change agent, and there's a lot to be said for this learning community. But I'm wondering, at least from the panelists that recently started new roles, maybe Thea, if you could share with us kind of your job search and maybe the resources that you were able to utilize at Columbia for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for the question. I actually got my job through a network at Columbia. So one of the classes I was taking, Improving Health Through Soil and Water by Dr. Lex Van Keen. It's a class in sustainability science. It's a great class. And I really liked that class. I liked a lot of the things I learned from that class. It was about contaminants and different mediums, how to analyze it, how to solve for it, how to mitigate the problems. And I actually ended up working with him in his lab, and I ended up being a TA for him. And he introduced me to the company I currently work, and he had previous students that had joined this company. And so he actually suggested it to me. It was one of the people who worked in this company was a guest speaker in one of his classes. And that's how I found out about it. I reached out to her, and honestly, just working with him gave me a lot of credibility, I think, for this company, of just having that connection with Columbia, having that connection with this Columbia professor. And that's how I found out about it. And I interviewed for it, and I got it. So yeah, thanks, Columbia really helped a lot.
Congratulations. Does anybody else have anything to add maybe about their current professional role? Actually, somebody specifically called out Aldo in the Q&A asking about your experience with your hunt with PwC, or the search process with them.
Yeah, so my introduction to consulting was also SUMA, which again is SUMA Net Impact. I did 2 semesters there, introduced me to just the overall concept and framework of how to work with different clients, different organizations. And that's something I've always been a people-oriented person. So that really drew me in. As far as a process, I think just dipping my toe in the sort of understanding what the field would look like, going from that into developing a lot of, so the great thing about the management program is that it focuses on management as well as strategy, just to simplify it to those 2 pillars. Whereas the science, it really incorporates a lot of more technical aspects. So I think the combination of those 2, finding the perfect balance is what helped me move forward towards consulting.
Excellent.
Hope that helps. If not, I can expand.
No, that's great. This is a broader question, and maybe Christina, if you could answer this one, since you have been balancing both work and school, is just that, how do you do it? Can you share a little bit more about the balance?
Absolutely. I really like it. I have found that it makes you're like not stressed about either, because you like dip in and out, if that makes sense. And it really, I don't think it's challenging from a time management perspective at all. I don't know, I'm like a millennial, and I'm in the phase of my life where I don't do much on the weekends anymore. So I actually like really enjoy waking up on a Saturday or Sunday with a cup of coffee and just getting my brain working in a different capacity than I am during my 9 to 5. So I've actually enjoyed it a lot, and hopefully, I don't know your perspective, but I was fortunate enough to start working in this field. So everything I was learning was just kind of enhancing, and vice versa. So it was really nice. And I'm still doing it. Now I'm doing a summer course, which is 2 times a week, and it's intense, but it's totally doable.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And then this is, it's a general question relating to finding housing in New York City, which is always a treat and a delight and a little bit of an adventure. Does anybody, especially any of the students that are international students maybe, that made that transition to New York City, do you have any housing advice in terms of your search?
I have my story. I'm from another country. I had no warrantor and no job here in the USA. So, and I didn't got on-campus housing. So, of course, I was like the most precious thing for the scammers. And what you have to be careful, that like the first recommendation, it's to never give money without seeing the apartment. Like some people ask you for money to visit the apartment. It's like, hey, you can visit this place, but you have to pay $800 in advance. No. If they start to tell you, no, there's someone living there and it's part of the contract that you cannot go to the apartment while someone is living there, maybe it's true, but no, don't take the risk. Like go only to places that you can see the apartment, you can see the landlord or landlady, and try to visit the places. Like my solution that helps me a lot, I know most of you must already have all the tickets, but was to arrive to New York 1 month early. And it took me around 3 weeks to find an apartment. And for me, it was kind of a job. I visited like 3 to 4 apartments every day, every morning. I was kind of like in a hostel, kind of depressed, like, okay, now I have to go out again. But be patient. This is gonna be solved. There are always other students in the same position as you, not only in SUMA and SUSC, all over Columbia. There are students in NYU. So look in that networks like, hey, I'm looking for apartments. Sometimes it's easier to look for apartments with 2 people rather than 1. And some locations use like warrantors, but like not real warrantors, rather than online warrantors like Rhino, that you pay a little bit, and Rhino, the app, is your warrantor for the apartment. That's also a solution that I've seen when you're looking at apartment with another person that you're meeting right there. So it's gonna be a long time. Take the time because there are a lot of scammers, but be patient because there are rooms around here.
Thanks, Santi. That was helpful and unfiltered. That's, you know, so we appreciate that. This is a little bit more operational, and actually, Chandler, I might pivot to you and John on this one as it relates to orientation. There are a couple of our admitted students that are indicating it might be challenging for them to get to the US specifically for on-campus orientation. Is there going to be any possibility of a virtual format by chance?
That is a great question. I think that we were, in discussion about this. I don't think anything has been finalized. As it stands right now, they are in-person events, but I don't think we've made a determination on, the hybrid portion of it. So, we'll circle back on that, and you'll all be receiving many emails from us about orientation. So don't worry.
Excellent. Thanks, Chandler. A question came in from Joy. Welcome, Joy. She wants to just thank all the panelists first and foremost, but she's coming from a field outside of sustainability. And what would any of you recommend to help refine and determine one's path in sustainability? And concurrently, which would be the best course to take? Thank you so much. And I know you guys already shouted out some courses, but if you want to, emphasize that again, anybody that feels they want to answer that question.
I could jump in. I would say try to figure out which problem in the sustainability field you want to solve. There's a lot of them, and whichever one makes you the most passionate, just really try and vector into gaining more of a background and building shape around that. There's so many courses that can kind of help you define that path, but I would say in the early first semester to take courses that may, if you're not in the sustainability field, like myself included, jumping into this, that open you up to a lot of new ideas before you take courses that are more specialized, and allow that to find your way through.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Hezekiah, if you want to go next.
Yeah, of course. So there are three main areas of sustainability: ESG, environment, social, and governance, right? So environments, I'll briefly describe that. So you have the environmental policy, environmental land development, et cetera. Social, you have diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility. You have environmental, I forgot the term for environmental justice, and you have those policies. And then, of course, governance, which is strictly policies and legislature. So in each of those areas, there are clear opportunities and clear fields. So for the individual that asked that, try to do additional research and see what field or what area best fits you, and then take those classes. So I know for the sustainability management program, I took a class called international environmental law, and that helped me on the policy side of things. So since I plan to eventually own my own business that will be eventually international, that helped me understand the foundational laws in place, similar to cost benefit analysis in my career. So try to pick between one of those three areas and taper your classes to that area, but remain open-minded.
Thanks, Hezekiah. Alba, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I might get kicked out from the cafe, so I'm going to go before I have to dip out. But I really liked Jeff's answer, both Hezekiah's as well. So if maybe you're not at the stage where you're about ready to solve a world solution, nonetheless I would find something that you're passionate about, and a tool that really helps with that is mind mapping. So like, take a step back and really try to understand the different components, how they're tied, the different connections. For me, it started with my passion about water pollution. Families from Ecuador, so I experienced that firsthand. Then going to that, it was the juxtaposition of the developing and developed countries. And then that was environmental justice. So, and then just trying to approach environmental justice through the scientific lens. But then also there's policy, there's a lot of different things to incorporate. And I'll go back to staying curious, just because even though sustainability is defined within CSR, ESG, all these different acronyms, the space has so much more growth to see and experience within the coming years. So don't let that define you or restrict you within how you may want to approach your own personal interests and passions. So start there and then create your own space. That's what I would say.
Awesome, thank you. And Thea?
Yeah, just to add to all of that, I think just figuring out what problem you want to solve, like Jeffrey said, is an excellent way. And something that I did, I think helped me, was I kind of reached out to people on LinkedIn who were currently doing jobs that I would potentially be interested in. Some of them replied, some of them didn't, but I tried to set up appointments just to kind of ask what their day-to-day is like, and if that's something I would want to do. I think just talking to people who are in the fields that you're interested in gives you an idea if that's something you would want to do. So I just wanted to add that. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And then we are coming close to time here, but we had a series of questions relating to the registration process and also selecting an academic advisor. So if anybody wants to, and it seems like there's like maybe some anxiety, if that's the word, around getting into the course that you really want. And obviously there's competitiveness across the Columbia schools as it relates to that. But does anybody want to kind of give advice as it relates to the course registration process? Also allay fears about classes being full. As we all know, people are course shopping right now. There's going to be changes in enrollment numbers. Does anybody have any advice about course registration?
I'm happy to start. I feel like people said this to me when I was also like freaking out about this exact same thing, but having been now at the very tail end, I mean, I really can't, maybe one situation, it's very rare that you don't get into what you want to get into, and you'll find really creative ways to maneuver to ensure that you are taking all of the classes you want throughout the duration of the program. So I know it's hard to, challenging to kind of materialize before starting the program, but yeah, it's really not something to be worried about, and it all works itself out truly.
Yeah, and to briefly add on to, sorry, I'm going back. Okay, to briefly add on to what Christina said. So yeah, do your due diligence, right? See if you can ask around in a couple of the sustainability science or sustainability management group chats and see what classes are best for your field or for your area. Ask around, reach out to the professors beforehand. Their contact information is provided. see if they can provide some perspective on how they teach a specific class. And then from there, try to plan it out. Again, like Christina said, it may be difficult beforehand, but try to write it out or fill in your degree audit form beforehand so that you'll know what to expect moving forward throughout the semesters.
Thanks, Hezekiah. And relating to academic advisors, I have seen a couple questions now in the chat box wanting to know, is it too late to select an academic advisor? No, that's still live on the link in terms of academic advisor selection. Just full disclosure though, you do have to, because this event, obviously we're inviting all admitted students regardless of the stage in your journey, you do need to commit to the program to select your academic advisor. So you have to have a uni. So the next step, if you haven't done so yet, is to submit that tuition deposit, get an activated uni, and then you can begin the process. In terms of releasing academic advisors, Chandler, would you be able to give us a timeline of when academic advisors would be released for those enrolling in the fall, when they should expect it?
That is a really good question. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you because that is Maria Gray's area of expertise. So I cannot answer that for you, but
so stay tuned.
Hopefully very soon. Yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. The excitement continues. You have something to look forward to. Great. And then in terms of we got quite a few questions about some of the courses. For example, sustainability finance. Would anybody care to share some insight on the content of that coursework? How intensive is the course? I think it was highlighted. Hezekiah, did you highlight that one? I can't remember who highlighted sustainability finance.
I highlighted cost benefit analysis, but I think Christina may be able to provide perspective on it.
I saw that question. I took sustainable finance and now I'm in the accounting one that is also mentioned. So sustainable finance was great to understand how to do an ESG analysis and learn how to take impact metrics and things along those lines and monetize them into positive or negative financial consequences. So that's something that it was really valuable to me, especially in my role today. And then now I'm in the accounting and finance and sustainable investing, and that's going to give you a really nice overview of all of these skill sets at more of an introductory level if perhaps you did not take business during undergrad. I did take business during undergrad, but I hope to start my own company at some point, so it's a great refresher of all of it, and you go deeper on financial modeling. So a couple, not really trade-offs, both great courses, but I hope that helps kind of shed some light if you do need to prioritize one or the other.
Great. I think that was a pretty good question to wrap up on, because I am noticing that it's kind of close to time here. So thank you so much to our panelists for taking the time to be with us today. We do look forward to welcoming this new cohort this fall. We will be following up with the recording in the next few days. Of course, as always, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to the program office. We are here for you. You will be hearing from us about orientation. And thank you, everyone. Have a great day or night, depending on where you are.